Getting images into Photoshop is the first topic in the Photoshop CC Expert exam. The two main areas that we are going to discuss in this topic is working with Bridge and importing and opening images. So first of all, what is Bridge? Bridge is a sidecar application to Photoshop which lets you deal with files, order them, organize them, open them into Photoshop, or run batch processes on them like batch rename, or use image processor to convert them to different file formats or resize them. But all in all, Bridge is a great addition to Photoshop. And if you haven't used it before, it's high time to start looking into it, because if you want to pass the exam, you will have to know Bridge inside out. There's a whole topic dedicated to Bridge, so it's very important to look into it and understand how it works. In this topic, I'm going to take you through all the important parts of Bridge. So we are going to discuss view options, preferences, find, quick search, collections, labels, ratings, and so on and so forth. And then we are also going to go through the options that you can use to open images and place them into Photoshop. So before we start, I would like to just make sure that you know the basics of handling Bridge. Well, first of all, how to open it from Photoshop. When you are in Photoshop, you can always go to the File menu and choose Browse in Bridge, and that will take you to Bridge. And when you are in Bridge, you can always double click on an image, which will open in Photoshop, or you can also use this icon here on the top, which will return you to Photoshop without opening anything. That's another very useful icon here. If you click on this, you can find the recently opened files in Adobe applications. So you can see these are the files I recently opened in Photoshop, and I can also jump quickly to the recent folders that I visited. There's also another way to go to recent folders by using these arrows here on the top. Go back and go forward, but you can also use Command or Control left and right arrows on your keyboard to go back and forward in history. This panel here on the left is the favorites, which is similar to bookmarks in your browser. So if you have a folder which you want to return to later, you can just drag and drop it into the favorites, and then you can very easily go back to that folder wherever you are on your computer. And just to make sure you understand, for Bridge, you don't have to import any images. It can see anything that you have on your computer or in your network. So it's just like another file management application like Finder on OS X or Windows Explorer. So it can go into any of the folders. I can click on folders and then I can see the whole structure of my folders and files. I can always change the size of these panels. So you can see we have favorites and folders together. I can switch between the two easily, and I can always make more space for filter and collections, or I can also make more space for the preview, for example. And I can also change the size of the thumbnails with this scroll here at the bottom, or I can hold down Control Alt and scroll up and down on Mac, and it's just simply Control scroll up and down on PC. There's another very useful part in Bridge called the path bar. It's good to have this turned on, and you can do that under the window menu. So here you can see path bar. If I turn that off, I will have less options on the top. If I turn it on, I will have all of these options here on the right, plus I will have the path bar, which is like a breadcrumbs showing where am I at the moment on the computer. Another useful keyboard shortcut is space, which will show you a full screen preview. And if you click again, you can zoom closer also into the image, or you can use the scroll as well to zoom in and out. And when you press right and left arrow while you are in this full screen mode, you can go through the images in the folder. When you press space again, you will quit the preview and you will go back to normal view when you will see the content area with the thumbnails. You will find the metadata and keywords panel here on the right by default, but you can always change how your workspace and the panels laid out in Bridge by changing between these, and they are called the workspaces. So you can see we have quite a lot of them. At the moment I'm in Essentials, but I can switch to Film Strip, for example, or Metadata, and so on and so forth. So that's a quick way to jump between these views or workspaces. If you don't see them all, you can also click on this arrow and then you can choose them from here as well. When you click on a preview image, you can get the loop tool, which will show you a zoomed in version of the image, and this will give you the 100% zoom ratio. And you can see more images at the same time as well. If you hold down Command or Control and select like 2 images at the same time, you can see them side by side here in the preview. Or you can also use a special view called review mode, where you can really easily compare images. And here again, you can click on the images to have the loop tool selected, and then you can also move them separately by just clicking on them, or move them together if you hold down Command or Control on PC. When you want to exit the review mode, again just press Escape. Another option which you can find here at the bottom is the grid, which you can turn on, and then you will see a grid between the thumbnails, or you can turn it off as well. I usually keep it turned off. So as an introduction, that's all I wanted to tell you about Bridge and about this topic, getting images into Photoshop. So now we can start and look into it in more details in the following videos. Once again, these areas of Bridge that I'm going to cover are the most likely to be in the exam. And it is completely up to you how you want to go through each of these topics of this course. But I recommend to take some notes, and also make sure whenever you learn something new, go and check it out for yourself and play around with the features that you learn, because that is the easiest way to memorize them.